There is a village where people live close enough to hear each other, but not always close enough to understand. If you're listening tonight, tell me where you are in the world. Stories travel far, even when people do not. In that village lived a boy named Emeka. He was not loud, not troublesome, not the kind of child people complained about. But he was also not the kind of child people protected. Emeka lived with his stepmother and her children. At first, after his parents were gone, people said he was lucky to be taken in. But over time, the truth became harder to ignore. He woke before everyone else, not because he wanted to, but because he was expected to. Before the sun rose, he swept the compound, fetched water, washed plates that were not his. If anything was left undone, it was his fault. If anything was broken, it was his fault. Even when he had done nothing wrong, he learned to stay quiet. Food was never shared equally. When meals were served, Emeka waited. Sometimes there was something left for him. Sometimes there was not. On those nights, he drank water and told himself it was enough. There was only one person in the house who spoke to him kindly. His younger stepsister, Ada. She was small, observant, and careful not to be noticed when she did something good. Sometimes, when no one was looking, she would save a small portion of food and bring it to him. "Take it," she would whisper. "Eat before they see." Emeka never forgot those moments. They were small, but they mattered, because they reminded him that not everyone had forgotten he existed. There were days when the house felt too heavy, too quiet in the wrong ways, too loud in others. On those days, Emeka would leave, not far enough to cause trouble, just far enough to breathe. At the edge of the village stood a forest. People avoided it, not because it was dangerous in an obvious way, but because it felt like a place that noticed things. Emeka would sit near the edge at first, on a fallen log, sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes until the sky began to dim. As time passed, he began to go deeper, not all at once, just a little more each time. There, in the quiet, he allowed himself something he never showed at home. He cried, not loudly, not for attention, just enough to release what he could not carry back with him. The forest did not interrupt him. It did not judge him. It simply remained. Days passed, then weeks, and without Emeka knowing, he was not alone. Something in the forest had begun to notice him, not the way people noticed and then forgot, but the way something ancient observes patiently. The spirit had seen many things, animals passing through, people entering and leaving, seasons changing, but this was different. A child who came not to play, not to explore, but to endure something he could not speak about anywhere else. The spirit did not reveal itself immediately. It watched, day after day. It saw how Emeka sat quietly, how he spoke to no one, how even his tears were controlled, as though he feared being heard, and it understood something simple. This was not a child who needed fear. This was a child who needed to be seen. One evening, as Emeka sat in the clearing he had come to know well, something shifted. Not suddenly, not in a way that startled him, just a quiet change in the air. "Emeka," he looked up. The voice was calm, not harsh, not demanding. He stood slowly. "Who is there?" he asked. From between the trees, a figure appeared, not fully human, not entirely something else. "I have watched you," the spirit said. Emeka did not run. There was something in the voice that felt steady. "Why?" he asked. "Because no one else was." The answer stayed with him. The spirit did not move closer. It simply stood, allowing him to understand that he was not in danger. "You come here often," it said. Emeka nodded. "This is where it is quiet," he replied. The spirit seemed to understand. "You should not carry everything alone," it said. Emeka looked down. "I don't have anywhere else to leave it." The forest remained still. After that day, the spirit appeared more often. Not always, but enough. They did not speak endlessly. Sometimes they said very little, sometimes nothing at all. One evening, after a long silence, the spirit spoke. "There is someone who is waiting," it said. Emeka looked up. "For who?" "For you." He frowned slightly. "That doesn't make sense." The spirit did not argue. "Come tomorrow," it said, "when the sun begins to set." Emeka returned the next day. The forest felt different, not unfamiliar, just ready. The spirit appeared again. "There's a path," it said, and for the first time Emeka noticed it, a narrow way between the trees that he had never seen before. "Where does it lead?" he asked. "To someone who has been asking for a child," the spirit replied. Emeka hesitated. "She lost her son many years ago," the spirit continued, "and she has not stopped hoping." Something in that stayed with him. "Will she want me?" he asked quietly. The spirit's answer came without hesitation. "Yes." Emeka stood there for a moment, thinking, not rushing. Then he nodded. He followed the path. It did not feel long, but when he stepped out of the forest, everything had changed. There, not far from the edge, stood a large house, quiet, well kept. An older woman sat outside, her posture calm, but her eyes looked sad. When she saw Emeka, she stood. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then she walked toward him, slowly, carefully. "You look tired," she said. No one had ever said that to him before. She knelt slightly to meet his eyes. "Where are your parents?" she asked. Emeka didn't answer immediately. She looked at him and understood. "You can stay," she said. And for the first time, Emeka did not feel like he had to ask if he was allowed to exist. He stepped forward and went into her house. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The house that once felt empty began to feel like something else. The woman laughed again. More often than she did before, Emeka made her feel like she had a son again. And Emeka began to grow into someone who no longer needed to disappear to be at peace. Sometimes he would walk near the forest to remind himself that this was the place he found joy. Although he didn't hear or see the spirit anymore, it knew that deep within the trees something watched.